Hello and welcome to the Main Cave. Now with summer in the UK on its way, I've been planning. Now last summer in the Main Cave, it got so hot it was unbearable. It's on the top floor, it has a PS5, 65-inch TV and more, all kicking out heat. So I got on searching for a fan. Now an aircon unit would be better, but seeing as I only needed it for the 2 weeks in the UK that it gets hot, a large fan was the right idea. So searching around, I found this on Amazon. It's the Dreo T2S fan, and what attracted me to it was three things. The size of it, the fact that it has smart functions, and initially its price. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about all three of those things, starting with the price. So this cost me £90 with the RRP being £100, but I got a £10 off voucher on Amazon. And this can also be picked up for around $90 or so in the US. So then what do you get for your money? Well, quite a lot actually. When it arrived, I was in awe of the size. I knew it'd be large, I just didn't realise it was going to be quite this large. It is a monster. So in the box you get the fan unit with the non-removable power cord, the base which needs to be assembled out of the box, the remote and the instructions. Once built it stands 107 centimetres tall, it's 16 centimetres deep and 14 centimetres wide. And the base has a diameter of around 33 centimetres and it's predominantly made of plastic. There's a screen at the top and the fan runs down the middle using the airfoil shaped blades. So this particular model is the Pro T2S. There is another model very similar, the T1S, which looks the same but it has an identical spec, and as far as I can tell they are the same apart from some small aesthetics. There are also other models from Dreo, but some aren't as smart capable and some are smaller, so the one I had ticked all of my boxes. So I placed the Dreo in the corner of my room. I'd like to have had it put near a window or where I can push fresh air around, but this is as good as it will get in my room. It rotates 90 degrees and I wanted it to blow air across my TV and PS5 and also into the room, so the corner, with all factors taken into consideration, was probably the best solution. And once set up, you can use the remote to get it going straight away. The remote has 7 buttons. At the top is power, and then plus and minus for speed settings 1 to 6. Then levels such as auto, natural, night, etc. Then mute, which turns off the very loud beeping it makes. Rotation, and finally timer up to 12 hours in increments of 1 hour. You can also show the temp in the room by holding down the mode button, which I prefer to use over showing the speed. This works well and good if you just want to get the fan out quickly and change a setting or two. But there's also an app for it which does more than the remote. The app is good for the most part. Just set it up as you most smart devices and you have most of the screen taken up by a picture of the fan itself. Underneath is the timer button, and this improves on the remote in that you can set up a timer up to 12 hours with increments of minutes as well as hours. Next is a display of what the fan is actually set to. Press this and you can get the meat of the settings. So set the mode, normal or natural, which speeds up and slows down. Asleep, which slows it down, and then auto, which runs according to the temperature in the room. Then next up is the speed settings, 1 to 6 as in with the remote, and underneath is the oscillation on and off. At the bottom you can turn on and off the panel sound and display, and right at the bottom is switching between Celsius and Fahrenheit. Then back to the main screen, underneath the fan settings is the current room temperature and another setting for things like renaming and firmware version. So not only can you connect this fan to the app, you can also connect it to Alexa and the Google Assistant. I use this function all the time. I set up a name MainCaveDreo, and whenever I need to turn the fan on and off, it's just a simple command, Alexa, turn the MainCaveDreo on. And within the app then it'll give you a list of possible Alexa commands, of which there are plenty. This is a very useful feature and used far more than the app or the remote. So what's it like to use then? The fan on 6 is very powerful, and I wanted to try and give you a demonstration on how powerful it is. So I've measured 1 metre, 2 metres and 5 metres away from the fan and placed a mic in the stream so that you can hopefully hear the blowing and give some indication on its power. I will obviously tell you what speed and distance is currently shown down in the bottom left. So then, there's the test over with, and how has it performed over the past few weeks of owning it? Well, this will not replace an aircon unit. It blows the air around you have in the room. I have 2 thermometers in the room, and it really did help stop with an increase in temperature over a few hours, but it didn't really lower it. It was fantastic sitting a couple of meters away playing the PS5 and on oscillation having it gently breeze across me every few seconds. It was lovely. But it's not all good. There are some issues with it that I'd like to see change, and for the most part it is a software issue which I reckon could be resolved. Firstly, the oscillation, it's 90 degrees or nothing. I understand it couldn't go more 90 without a hardware change, but I'd love to see less than 90 and be able to change it to the number of degrees maybe in the app. Another issue I had is that I have it plugged into a smart plug. Every day this plug gets turned off. Then when the fan gets turned back on, all of the settings get reset. It is a me issue and I'll probably need to plug it directly into the wall. Just would have been nice to save the settings when there's no power, maybe using an internal battery. Finally, the fan can't be turned on at a specific time. So if you want to wake up the fan or want the room to start being cooled, you need to do this manually or possibly some way through Alexa or Google Assistant. I'd love to set up a daily timer, so maybe this can be added in a future firmware update. So there we have it then. There's a look at the Dreo T2S fan, which I'm using to help cool the main cave during the summer months. It's a very tech-heavy fan and a pleasure to use, with the limitations of a fan, and it can't really be compared to an aircon unit, which at the minimum is 3 times the price. So let me know your thoughts then. Have you got one? Are you thinking picking one up? Let me know down in the comments below. Until the next video, bye bye.